Hi, everybody. Jack O'Malley here on a Monday. Lots happened since last we talked on Friday. What a crazy time that we are in. And first of all, the election. Let's go there. We are working to make sure that your vote is counted safely and correctly, and that the outcome is the correct one. I believe that it is. Were there irregularities? Yep. Are there always irregularities? Yep. Do we need to make sure that there were no more than usual? Uh-huh. And that's why we're moving forward. That's why the House has convened the Oversight Committee. We've got subpoenas. We're getting information that's being brought in. We will follow up. We will do our due diligence on this. We are doing what we can legally, within the law. So one of the rumors that's going around out there is that, because someone was trying to steal this election, that's the thinkology, that Secretary Benson, who brought a lot of this onto herself by sending out all those mail-in applications, even to dead people and to people who moved 5 years ago, a very sloppy implementation of that. She brought this all on herself, so I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for Secretary Benson. But the process works, and remember, we got 83 counties, and there are issues in Detroit. There are, programs in place to double check that. Now, one of the rumors that's going around is that Benson is going to certify the election tomorrow, I believe is the current thing. And just so you know, the Secretary of State does not certify elections. The State Board of Canvassers certifies the state election. That is scheduled to happen by statute next Monday, a week from tonight. The State Board of Canvassers is made up of 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And that is chosen by state law by saying 2 members of the top 2 vote-getting parties for Secretary of State the previous election. So, the Green Party and all these might have been down here, but it was Republican and Democrat. So traditionally, that's the way it is. 2 Republican, 2 Democrat. They will look at all the ballots. They will do their due diligence and certify that election next week, unless there's some court order that says not. But it's not tomorrow, and it's not Benson. It is a bipartisan State Board of Canvassers, and that is scheduled by law next Monday. All right? So just an FYI. About the governor's pronouncement last night, I've been asked by multiple media folk to give him a comment, and I'm disappointed once again in our governor. This time she did give us about a 45-minute heads up what's coming. Whoopee. But she did not ask for input. And that's unfortunate, because if you go back to spring, before she decided to go rogue, we were getting input from folks like you. Call your representative. Hey, what about this? Or that's not working. Or, man, it's really squeezing us here. What if you did it this way? And we sent that up the chain, and the governor's office did adjust some of those executive orders after it got input from the legislature. Wow, isn't that a crazy idea? We hear from the people who we represent, we pass it on up, and it gets changed. Well, then somewhere along the line there, they decided, we can do this on our own. And so away she went, and that's where we're at. And that's really where I'm at now. I look at all of this, and it's like, no, there's personal responsibility here. The governor needs to be asking, talking to us, as opposed to telling us what to do. And maybe that genie is going to be too hard to put back in the bottle, but I think it's one we need to try. And I wish the governor, now, trust me, it ain't going to happen, but I wish the governor would change approach here and say, here's what we need. We need you to limit social gatherings, because that's where we're getting the most spread. We need to protect the vulnerable, and so on and so forth. And ask us to do that. Now, here's one of the issues, though. Somebody out there, because I've talked to them, I don't care if I get COVID, I'm me and I'm going to do it. You're absolutely right. I don't care if you get COVID. I really don't. Okay? I don't. But think about it this way. Is there somebody in your family who you know is a little vulnerable that you don't want them to get COVID because it could kill them? That's the person we need to be thinking about now. Not me. I don't care if I get COVID, screw it. No. This is where we need to think personal responsibility and think of others. So let's say that. Let's say you got a coworker who you love, you've been with them forever, and their health's a little shaky. Here's the deal. We all want to not get the COVID because we want fewer and fewer people going to those hospitals. Now, don't come back with well, they're just admitting everybody, even if they got the flu and everything. Maybe they are, but maybe that's because we're such a litigious society that they're just covering their butts. That happens. But right now, I want to try and give some people the benefit of the doubt here. I've heard that our staffs, the hospitals want to stay open to what's the word I'm looking for here? Elective procedures, because that'll keep people safe. They don't want to close those down because they're trying to keep everybody healthy. But it's not a bed issue, as I'm being told. It's a staffing issue. You got to make sure that you have enough people to take care of the people who are sick. So here's the problem. That coworker I had there, that's a little health's not real good. You don't want them getting sick. So they get sick with the COVID, and then they have to go to the hospital. Which right now, okay, that's good. The hospitals are there for them. But what happens if the hospital's overcrowded and can't take them? Or worse, realistically stacking them like cordwood in a hallway waiting to get to them. Right? So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're not taxing those areas so that when that loved one or that person we're concerned about does get the COVID, and remember, I don't care if you get it because you don't care if you get it. I'm talking about that other person. That's where we have to say, all right, you know what? I get it. It isn't just about me. It's about, all right? And one of the things that I've heard about the social gatherings is we tend to let our guard down. Yeah, Uncle Charlie, he doesn't have COVID. Well, maybe he does, and then he spreads it. So that's where we still have to take some precautions there. So I don't disagree with the governor on certain items. I disagree with how she handles it. Again, how about asking as opposed to the point of the bayonet? You got to close or you get fined. You got to close or you get 6 months in jail. You got to close or... No. Appeal to people and say, come on, and explain to them why. Communicate. So we've got a bill out there, 6413, I think it is. 6314, that is saying, hey, let's do this locally. Let's do this by county as opposed to that broad sweeping. Let's look at the schools. She is using this reopen plan saying, hey, locals can decide on the elementary, but all high schools have to close. Well, what happens if you've got a high school that doesn't have a COVID case in it and hasn't? Why should they close? In person is so much better. It goes on and on. So is what the governor doing legal by using Health and Human Services? What I'm being told is barely. If she pushes it a little bit further, there could be some real lawsuits. She could lose big time. The other thing is restaurants and bars. Once again, she is nailing a group of people that the cases weren't that bad in bars and restaurants. Why? Because they are probably one of the most careful locations there is, because they are social distancing, they're sanitized, and everybody's wearing masks. So again, it doesn't make sense as to what the governor is doing. So again, if you think the governor's 100% right, then I'm probably 100% wrong. But I just think there needs to be personal responsibility here. And it's a school of thought. I believe our governor is from the government can tell you better. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. The government can suggest, the government can show you what's there, but the government also has to give you the proof. And, science and data, we sure haven't gotten much of that. And are there metrics? That was the other thing. One of the things that our local plan says is, where is it here? We have 5 clear scientific metrics using our local plan. COVID case rate, positivity rate, surge, hospital capacity, PPE supply, and the ability to test for COVID-19. If all of these metrics are there, you can stay open. But here comes Governor Gretchen's roller as opposed to a fine brush. So we will continue. We will move forward. I'm pushing personal responsibility here because I have faith in people. Protect the vulnerable. Limit your social gatherings this holiday season. Be smart if you have them, right? Be careful. Don't just assume that Uncle Charlie isn't carrying the COVID, because he probably is. Just be smart, right? Sanitize. Hand sanitizer everywhere. Social distance. Even at that party, give them a hug, and just don't be right up on top of each other, right? Back off, especially if the groups are smaller. It'll be a little easier to hear. And then, if you are able, if you are willing, wear a mask. All right, we'll keep moving forward here. But back to the big rumor of the day. Secretary Benson is not certifying the election tomorrow because it's not her place. And by law, that happens next Monday with the State Board of Canvassers. All right. I was chatting with a man of the cloth today, and let's keep praying for each other. I believe in the power of prayer. Let's pray for enlightenment of our governor, and let's all be respectful of each other. Even if we disagree, let's be respectful of each other. We will get farther with discussion than venom. Good night.